Maybe the Bengals game, that was a really bad throw when they were up, and he gives them that throws that interception. No, this one was worse. This was the worst throw of CJ's career. Good Monday morning, everybody. John and Lance, along with Dell, for the next 3 hours here, being about the Texans last night. Man, that was some kind of disappointment. I don't know. You know, the Texans have had some disappointing losses, real disappointing losses. When you got a team that you think can do some stuff and you look like that team the way that they did in the first half, and you come up with that second half, Lance, I don't know that isn't as disappointing a loss as this organization has ever had.
It's this was your Oilers moment, and what I mean by that is that this fan base, this organization is now officially 22 years old.
22 years old.
22 years old.
This
right?
is the 23rd season.
Yeah, and there have been ups, there have been downs, but it just never feels like there haven't been enough ups and downs to really lock in with a fandom where you've had your heart broken and you've ridden high. You still don't have the high. You haven't ridden high. Of course, the Oilers never got to a Super Bowl either. But this felt like a moment where it's branded in your heart now. You will, for people who are Texans fans, no matter what happens from here on out, you will never forget this. And this is the kind of thing that rips your guts out. And that's the one thing that had been missing besides, winning at a high level. You didn't really have your guts totally ripped out with a team that, in a situation where you thought you had it won. That's something that creates scarring in a fan base that you never really get over.
Well,
that was that moment yesterday.
Okay. So the Chiefs' playoff loss, that scars forever. The Rosencopter, that was something that we'll never forget.
You never forget it. But this is a team. They had They had 5 interceptions. The amount of first on my NFL information sheet, this is the first time that anything's happened in 11 years, 51 or 71 years for one thing. That's the Lions winning with 5 interceptions. First time it happened in 71 years since 1953. The amount of first that this is, the Texans haven't done this since then. They were 30-0-1 when they led by 15 or more at halftime. This is the second time this has happened in NFL history to be up 16-plus points at half with 5, and to be up 16-plus points at one point with 5 interceptions and lose. The only other time it's ever happened is 54 years ago. 54 years ago, the Colts did that. You couldn't. This is effing up a soup sandwich as hard as I've ever seen by the Texans.
But yeah,
we had other
things. Here's the difference between this team and any. Well, I guess we had high hopes when they were up 24-0 on the Chiefs. We can't forget that. I'm not putting that one.
No, that's true.
That one is that one.
But it didn't go down to the wire. You were done in that one felt like by the second half, the momentum had switched
third quarter
so badly. This sucker, you're like. No, and you see that inevitable, the inevitability. Eric Layden texts me. He goes, "You know what's going to happen, don't you?" This is early in the fourth quarter. I said, "I already know," and we all knew. And I put that on Twitter. I'm like, "Hey, you guys, I'm getting text messages. I can't be the only one." Nope, we're already talking about that. All Houston fans had this inevitability. Did you? I don't know.
Well,
in LA, maybe you felt more maybe you're more upbeat. Maybe you're more upbeat in LA.
I was, and especially after that Dalton Schultz conversion.
Yeah.
Where he was crossing over the middle, and I was like, okay, they're not going to just totally fall apart. I was wrong. The CJ throw with Tank wide open in the end zone. We're going to hear from CJ blaming himself, and quite frankly, you know what? This was a group effort. There's no question about it. But CJ, this is totally on CJ. They absolutely. Now I know everybody hates Bobby Slowick today. And I'm seeing a lot of D'Amico. The honeymoon's over there.
I saw everybody. D'Amico, I saw the entire coaching staff. I saw the first sell the team of the year. I, of course, saw my Bobby Sloak. If people could just stone him to death, the Texans would take off and be so much better. Twitter told me.
I know that, listen, the last 4 games, 0 touchdowns in the second half. 0.
It is what it is.
Along with five field goals. That's it for the Texans the last 4 games. And I know Bobby Sloak takes the majority of that. But Bobby Sloak designed that play where Tank was wide open. He's the one that called that play. Tank is wide open, and CJ stands there and then throws it and lobs it.
What is he doing?
I mean, holy crap. Could that have been I don't know that that's the worst throw he's at. Maybe the Bengals game, that was a really bad throw when they were up, and he gives them that throws that interception. No, this one was worse. This was the worst throw of CJ's career so far.
If you replayed the TV version of the game, the replay, Chris Collinsworth halfway through the routes going, because he sees it open up from the booth, and he knows it's 6. And he goes, oh boy, look out now. And then it turns into a terrible throw and a look out now. Like, it was just the halftime, the interception right after halftime. What in the world, CJ? That was just, and there's enough to go around. Like, it's never just one guy. But this is one of those, like, you're in the midst right now of adversity. You're in the midst of it, and there's a lot of other stuff to talk about. No Will Anderson, no. But that's irrelevant. No Will Anderson shouldn't be mentioned. No Nico Collins shouldn't be mentioned. You had a 16-point lead, and the other quarterback threw 5 interceptions. Never in the history of football should you ever lose a game when you're up 16 and the other quarterback has 5 turnovers. It's almost it's like we said, it's almost impossible. It's only happened twice because it's so rare for a quarterback to throw 5 picks. It's very rare.
So I don't know. I think the one of the picks was a strip sack. The ball was not coming forward. That was, and you don't get credit for that, and that would absolutely should have been a strip sack as opposed to an interception. Regardless, they had way too many opportunities. This red zone offense is just terrible. It's just terrible.
It really is, man. Get
So
past the 50-yard line and play for the 57-yard field goal stuff. You know, all the play calling stuff with Sloak, when people just don't have a feel for what's going on offensively, you just kind of default to, and I get it. But the issue I have is the level of passiveness that sets in because of the fear of sacks or whatever it is. My God, once they get to the 40.
We interrupt this broadcast to bring you a special announcement. I love Coors Light. I've always loved Coors Light, and I always will love Coors Light. I'm doing my job, keeping Texas chill. Are you? Are you doing your part? Do your part. Keep Texas chill.
40-yard line. It is like just put the Tupperware lid on. We're done. Put it in the refrigerator. We're kicking a 57-yarder. That is no way to go through a football season, trying to kick a bunch of 50-plus yard field goals, and they basically did it at the end of the game.
Well,
Bobby's just calling inside handoffs. Listen, it's 25 carries for 46 yards or whatever. They were playing downhill. You've got to get the ball to the perimeters a little bit. You cannot continue to try to run between tackles. It hadn't worked the entire game, and that's what you dial up to just try to give yourself, that comfortable 57-yarder with Fairbairn. That's got to stop, man.
Yeah.
The throat, the stepping on the throat must happen. You have a team in the Lions, and they didn't really do it yesterday as much. Riverboat Dan Campbell doesn't care. They're super aggressive. We didn't see as much of that yesterday. In fact, I thought I thought they were more conservative than they usually are. Ben Johnson, but my gosh, D'Amico is just and Slowick, D'Amico, whoever. This team has a conservative tilt to it where they just refuse to try to kick your teeth out. They just don't do it. They're not teeth kickers. They're advice givers. Snacks is screaming at the TV. My son, who doesn't like the Texans, was screaming, "Go give Goff advice now! Go give Goff advice giver!" And he's screaming at CJ after the game, "Give Goff advice giver," to CJ Stroud.
Well,
I don't think he's going to.
Listen, he was right patting Caleb Williams on the head. Caleb Williams is his little brother.
Yeah,
that's another story.
That's another one. Yeah.
By the way, got to refute DJ Bieneme.
Okay. What did he say?
He says Titus was trying to hold CJ up. Go watch the play again. he's strip sacking his quarterback.
Did you think he was trying to get his first strip sack of his career?
I've never seen anything like that in my life. The offensive lineman is fighting his quarterback for the football, trying to strip him of the football. And he was not trying to hold him up. He was going after the football, and he was fighting CJ for the football. The most ridiculous play I think I've ever seen. How in the world? Now, I will say this. The offensive line did a much better job of pass protecting. I know they had 4 sacks.
It was better. It was better.
It was much better. It was much better. I will take pass blocking over run blocking every day. I will take it. They couldn't run block. I don't know what the hell the deal is. If they can run block, they can't pass block. If they can pass block, they can't run block. Mm-hmm. I will take that because you can put up points through the passing game without – you can still – even Collinsworth said it last night. You don't have to be able to run the football well for play action to work. Play action is going to work anyway. You still have the threat of running the football.
You just have to run the ball some. You just have to show it.
Yeah, you do, and they did.
Or it's situational,
and they did. And the offense should have been much better. CJ was not good. Now, he doesn't have Nico, no Steph.
It didn't matter in the first half.
It didn't matter at all.
It didn't matter in the first. Mechie had a good game.
This was the Mechie game.
Yeah, Tank disappeared again. But Mechie stepped up big. Mechie had a great catch. Mechie had a couple of huge catches. The touchdown, the slant. Mechie really, you're right, it was the Mechie game. I don't even remember. It was Dalton Schultz and Mechie, it seemed like,
Tank had 5 catches.
Did he have 5? Okay.
And he also had a drop that was a huge drop.
How many yards did Tank have? It just didn't feel like
39 yards.
Yeah, he had no imprint on that game.
No.
He had 5 catches for 39 yards. We're getting 7.8 yards from a guy like Tank Dell. It's just I just feel like something. I get what people are upset about when they talk about Bobby Slowick. I think that, but I think some of it is just a catch-all, and some of it is legit. It's the first half. Things were good in the first half. The protection was there. CJ was really on time. CJ, I thought, didn't hold the ball a lot in the first half. I thought he was much better at being on time. And in the second half, it's just hard to explain what is going on in the second half. And I saw you answer somebody. Somebody said, it's the adjustments. You got to admit, and you said, well, execute too. Your stuff works.
They had the plays.
Your stuff works in the first half, and it doesn't. And something was wrong with Goff. I think we may hear something. The ball was coming out of his hands. Every throw was low. This is not the quarterback I've seen all year. You had a chance to beat a Goff who I wouldn't be surprised if you hear he's a little injured. They may not talk about it. Something's off with Goff. But for him to play that bad, this should have been – I was already practicing, okay, what am I going to say tomorrow? This is such a headline win for you. You have these guys out. Nico's a last-minute inactive. Obviously Will Anderson's not playing, and you step up and dominate Jared Goff in this offense like this. I was all ready. I had my speech. I had my speech ready.
Your post-game speech was ready?
No, my radio. What I was going to say on radio. I had set it up in my mind. I did my mental typing. I knew what I was going to say. I searched the source to change some words up to put a little extra zip in it. And then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, well, let's talk about how, hey, it got down. You made some mistakes in the second half, and it wasn't clean, but you still beat the Lions. That's still a really good win despite losing that lead and really not playing well in the second half. And then it's like, I guess I got to call them the Oilers. I guess that's where we are now.
Oh, man.
The Houston Oiler Texans. This isn't an Oiler move, John. You didn't get Oiler feelings from this. It was an Oiler move.
It absolutely was.
That's all it was.
So,
you just Oilered
you knew when they got close, oh, my God, they're going to lose this game.
You knew it, didn't you? And I tried to be positive on Twitter.
As soon as
he'll make this field goal. He'll make this field goal. They'll win this game. I knew they weren't going to. See, this is what I get for letting you and Dell try to talk me into being a happy person and a positive person. Because I'm not. I'm a lifelong Houston sports fan. I'm not positive. I'm not happy. I'm cynical, and I know what's going to happen. I know it's inevitable.